We are starting. I think let's wait for a couple of more minutes for a few more to join, and then we will formally start.
Sure, sounds good.
I can see one of my good friends, Kim Winter, has joined, along with Melvis, Patel, Abdul Aziz as well, so Adam as well. So I know quite a few names over here. Welcome, guys.
Wow.
Welcome, everyone. So I think let's start. People will start coming in, but in the interest of time, we should start. So good evening, everyone. My name is Noman. I'm the founder and CEO of Supply Chain Talks, and I'm excited to welcome you all in today's webinar, which is titled Starting Strong, Key Considerations for Launching a Digital Transformation in Supply Chain. In today's fast-paced world, digital transformation has become an essential for supply chain efficiency and competitiveness. However, when you're talking about transformation, launching this journey can be complex, and getting the foundational steps right is crucial for long-term success. So if we do not get the foundations right, any kind of transformation, it falls right on its face. So we need to be very careful that we set the foundations right. And with this in mind, we have an excellent lineup of experts joining us today who will be sharing their valuable insights, experiences, and strategies for making this transition successful. So please join me in welcoming my good friends, Rachid from Slimstock, Jason from Atracio, and Majed from Global Healthcare. The introduction, I will request them to share their introduction individually, formally, and then we will move forward. So, gentlemen, over to you. Rachid, since I took your name first, your introduction, please.
Yeah, so first of all, Noman, thanks a lot for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here, and such an interesting topic as we live it from my side each day with different customers in the region. So my name is Rachid. I have been in supply chain for over 15 years now, over different continents, different industries, and currently working with Slimstock to help many businesses in the region, in MEA region, improve their supply chain efficiency and digitalize their supply chain actually.
Awesome. Over to you, Jason.
Yeah, hello guys. My name is Jason Verhoven, and I actually learned about supply chain way back in 2006 at a warehouse and a port in the port of Hamburg. So I was pretty much a commercial guy until then. And then I realized what supply chain is all about. So from that journey then till today, coming up to the 8th of October, it's been a good just under 20 years of every day learning and learning more about supply chain. And, ever since I've got into Atracio, we are only talking about digitalization, which is the hour of the need right now. It's not just a thing whether you can opt yes or no. It is a mandate. You have to do it. So here we are here to talk about these things. So I'm happy to join this panel and, be a part of it. Yeah. Thank you.
Pleasure. Last but not the least, Majid, over to you, please.
Right. Thank you, Noman, and thank you again for inviting me for this webinar. My name is Majed. I am the CTO of a global health care company based in Riyadh. I have a long experience in technology in general and digital transformation in specific, with over 30 years of experience overall. And supply chain in all the companies that I have led technology, it has been a very crucial department and function. I can consider this as the backbone for every company, whether they are in retail or in manufacturing or any other kind of industry. So I'm very, very excited having to be with you today to explore the topics that we'll be talking about, especially when it comes to digital transformation for supply chain. Thank you.
Okay. See, just a little thing before we move forward. So thank you, all three of you. This is a journey for me as well, to learn about how digitization works and what are the different solutions and different companies that are really making a big difference. Fine, I've been on the other side of the friends for across my career. But when I moved into consultancy and started supply chain talks, and this year, we initiated our vertical of digital supply chain transformation. And I learned a lot. This last 1 year has been tremendous for me. And moving from there, so today, what to expect from the webinar for our respected audience is that we will be diving deep into the key factors for assessing the readiness, selecting the right technologies and managing data, and preparing the workforce, which is very key, the change management part for the digital shift, for the digital transformation. During this session that we'll have today, feel free to share your questions, that anything that pops in your head, put it in the Q&A chat, and we shall address them at the end of the session. We will try to go through each and every questions, and it would be fun. Hope we all learn together. And with that, I would to get started with the actual webinar, and I would like to kick off things with Rachid. Rachid, can you share your thoughts on how organizations should assess their digital readiness before embarking about a transformation journey? And being in a lot of sessions with you, I know that this is something that you really believe in.
No, absolutely, Noman. I think in even being a software provider, we have a solution to optimize the end-to-end supply chain planning. But each time we talk to customers, prospects, we always pitch and we always urge them to actually do an assessment of their readiness from a digital transformation perspective. Because if they are not ready to embark in this journey, even if we do a project with them, it will be a failure. So we don't want to engage with customers and then have a failed implementation. So that's why we always pitch and always try to tell them that the readiness assessment is very important. So to answer your question, so what are the steps? There are multiple steps, and probably Jason and Majed will please don't hesitate to jump in and also complement this. But I think the first thing is what problem we are trying to solve. What are the use cases? And even if we know the use cases and the problem, the pain that we are trying to solve, what is the value? What is the value add? What is the business case associated with it? If I have, for example, if I need to solve a problem with my excess inventory, with my availability, with my top line, increasing the sales. So if that's my goal, so the question is, what once I understand that this is the goal, then I can put actually let's say a plan in place for it. So that's the first step. The second step is the data. I think we'll probably discuss more and more in the conversation about the data, but the data readiness and data availability is very important, and also data quality. So if we don't have the right data and we would like to embark in a transformation of the whole supply chain, like we always say, garbage in, garbage out. If we put a software in place and then we don't have the right data to feed it, then we will not have the expected results. The other step after the data will be about the cross-functional collaboration. What does that mean? If you look today at many organizations, they will have, it's all siloed, right? So you'll have like commercial in one side, you'll have procurement, you will have supply chain. Even in supply chain, you'll have different teams, you will have the IT. And so in most companies, this is all siloed. There is no cross alignment between all those functions. And if you put a transformation in supply chain does impact all those business units. because as Majed mentioned in his intro, supply chain is the backbone of operations. So in a sense, it does impact all the business functions. So if you don't align all those business units across one common goal, then you are already aiming or planning to fail your transformation. And then afterwards, I can go on. There's other steps. For example, understanding the upstream and downstream impact. When you do a transformation in supply chain, it's not just about, okay, so I have a problem in demand planning. Imagine my demand planning, for example, my forecast accuracy is very low. I want to solve that. But what is the impact on the other part of the business? If you don't understand the impact, because it may change the other part of the business, upstream and downstream, then you are not looking at 360-degree of the transformation. And then there's also the buy-in from the senior leadership for any transformation, whether in supply chain, whether in finance, whether in other in IT. You will need the buy-in from the senior leadership. If you don't have that buy-in, it will be very very hard actually to do the change management. It will be very hard to after the go live actually make the users use the solution. So this is in a nutshell what needs to be looked up from a step perspective when we are doing a readiness assessment. But Jason, Majed, feel free to complete.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you had to ask me, I would actually take one step back, Rashid. Firstly, you need to define your objectives, you see, because most companies, when you get them into a boardroom, business unit heads I'm talking about, and you say, okay, here's where we'd like to go as the CEO points the direction, opposition will come about. So, you need to first engage these stakeholders, whether it's the IT, it's the sales, it's all the departments within the framework of a company, you see. Number one. Number two is make sure that they've got sufficient skill gaps, you see. And once the CEO has laid out a roadmap, then you can at least identify and say, yes, this is the direction we'd like to take. We know our current state is here. How do we like to go from point A to point B? So, once the CEO has laid out a roadmap, objections, actually, that's our next point, but objections will automatically come and say, oh, we don't get enough of supply of our goods. Oh, we don't get enough of procurement. And immediately objections start instead of, so you need like-minded business unit heads, stakeholders, basically, who understand the direction that needs to be taken. And when that maturity comes about, you see, when the business unit heads understand that this is a direction we need to take, and it's mandatory for us, then I'm sure you'll get on to, looking at a pilot project, and possibly, you'll start looking at a proof of concept henceforward. This is my small little point. Yeah. Over to you, Majed.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. I cannot add much more of over what you have said, but maybe another point that we can consider is usually these digital transformation projects are very big, very huge, and it has a very huge impact on the business. So it will be a good idea to break down these projects into like a specific roadmap with some milestones. Don't try to execute everything together; you will fail. So you'll fail because for many reasons. Maybe the business is still not ready to take this big change, and resources are not skilled enough. Many reasons. But if you break it down into a roadmap with very defined milestones, I think this will help a lot in having a successful transformation journey.
Yeah. So 100% Majid, easily when you break it down in pieces, then you keep the momentum going. And then each phase, you can actually calculate the performance, the impact on the KPIs. And also you keep the teams motivated, right? Because if you have a long transformation that takes ages, people will, by the end you finish it, people are already fed up with it. But if you keep the momentum going, you show them the results each time, and then you move to the next piece, then everyone is happy. Even the senior leadership, they are happy because they see the results, so they can push to the next phase. So 100%.
Yeah.
So in my quick discussion just before our panel session, a few days ago, actually, I was just looking at it today. They asked Bill Gates, why are you building this 1,000-qubit quantum computer in 2024? What's the big fuss about it? He's saying this roadmap has taken 2 years. So a guy like Bill Gates has got a roadmap, and see the plans that have gone behind it to get a 1,000-qubit quantum computer coming out in the next few months. So see the thought process and the planning that has gone behind it, that we will see it now in the next few months, actually.
I think the insight that you have shared, your experiences and all that, and I just realized that we were only on the first question, and I realized that maybe we can do the topic is so interesting and everybody is talking about it, the transformation,
Yeah.
everything. But, we can go on and on about the first question itself, and we can make it into a complete webinar on itself. But to be fair with everyone, they are here to at least gain some major insights from the experts. So I will bet on the first one, because the second question is about challenges. Find what organization faces. So, and all of us has shared, and Majed comes. You come from an organization perspective, because both Jason and they are on the other side of the fence, being the solution providers. So, Majid, my next question is basically then for you, that in your experience, fine, as being the CTO and on the as an organization, that what are the common challenges that organizations face during the initial stages? And the keyword is the initial stages, because you said that it can be a big failure as well. Initial stages of digital transformation, and how can they potentially overcome them?
Okay, thank you, Noman, for this question. It's really very important, as you said. Knowing your challenges in advance will help you a lot to overcome them and having a successful project at the end. So if we look generally in, for challenges in digital transformation projects, and maybe supply chain is like one example we are talking about right here. Maybe cultural resistance is one major challenge that you could face in any organization. Not all the MDs are of the same level of understanding, skills, etc. So you'll face some people who are like really resistant to this change. Why should we do this change? Am I going to lose my job? My job will be replaced by some kind of automation, etc. So this cultural resistance is one of major things that you could, face during this kind of project. To overcome that kind of cultural resistance, you should communicate clearly the objectives. As we said, previously, that as Rachid and Jason said, that we should have a clear objective for our project. And as long as you communicate clearly these objectives, I think sharing this vision, goals, and benefits that will come to the company, I think it will, you will get a buy-in from, I will not say all employees, but at least the majority of the, your stakeholders and employees. Maybe another challenge that you could face is the skills gaps. As I said, not all employees are of the same level of skills and understanding. So you could face in some functions some employees who are unskilled to adapt this kind of technology. They have used to do their work manually on paper, etc. When you come and introduce new systems and technology and automation, maybe their skills is not to that level. You could adapt it. So this is another challenge that you could face. To overcome this, you have to understand the potential these employees they have. Are they able to learn? If you get them into training programs, if you involve them from the beginning of the project, are they, their skills could be improved to match to your project objectives? If not, then you have to think of the other option, like recruitment of people before you start the project. You keep this project in mind while you are doing recruitment. These new recruited guys should be able to adapt these new technologies should help you to get a successful project and implementation. Now, another challenge is the change management. People, I did not meet anybody in our life, like professionally or even in our personal life, like to change. People will always like to do things they used to do the same way. Why I should change? Unless you, as I said previously, unless you communicate clearly the objectives and why you need to change, and you put a very clear and solid change management plan in place, then you will face a lot of challenges. You know, for example, if people they don't believe in this change, and after you did a lot of efforts to configure a system, implement a system, or whatever, and then at the time comes for training people, you face people that they are even not interested to learn these new technologies. Again, you are not going as an IT to run all these systems. Business users who should perform these tasks, their daily tasks. So if they don't believe in this change, if they don't accept this change by clear communication and clear change management plan, then it will be a big challenge that could I don't like to always use the word failure, but it could cause a failure of your project. Yeah, Rashid, Jason, if you need to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest challenge, I mean, organizations, are so reluctant to amend is because of the alignment across departments. You see, they don't feel the need to, if sales are doing one thing, why should we go and, use the same direction? Or why should finance or procurement or supply chain, you just stay and handle the warehouse. So the resistance to change becomes a big problem. Another thing that I think, nowadays management have an issue and a challenge is because of budgets. Who's going to bell the cat? Which department will bell the cat? You see, that becomes a big challenge moving forward. And, most of the time, the ROIs are very unclear when, you adapt to a new system. It takes a little while. You have to understand that, you've started something brand new. It will take time to, you seeing not only ROIs, you'll see POIs as well, profit on investment. But everyone has to be in sync with the roadmap built by the CEO. You see, so in a change of management, then that's a different yardstick that you're looking at. So you need to understand these things very, very clearly that, when it comes to skill set, as Majed talked about, resistance or, clear objectives or goals, when you don't have these, completely streamlined and says, this is the yardstick that we will use, then you're going to have resistance in across departments. And, it'll be difficult to align them. You're not even getting into compliance. You're not even getting into other tech issues of, skills and training, but these all add up in the end, and it becomes, everyone's looking at each other in a meeting room with business unit heads instead of, looking at the direction. Over to you.
Rachid, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I think Jason and Majed said it all, but there was a study from Harvard that says that 70% of digital transformation fails to achieve the expected results because of change management. So if you look today at the digital transformations, there are the biggest component is the people, of course, the solution and the processes. And many organizations will focus on the solution, some of them the processes, but they will forget about the people. But for me, the people component is much more important than actually the other component, because at the end of the day, you digitalize to help the people in the ground. And if you don't have the right change management framework in place, then you are just killing yourself, because there is no point of actually starting this digital transformation. And we have seen it in many multiple projects. The projects where, let's say, there is no plan to actually bring the people to the new solution, hold their hands and take them to the next level. Usually they struggle a lot in those projects.
Okay, I will just add something to it. Very valid points, and these challenges are there. Another thing that I have come across is that unrealistic expectations from the transformation journey. Somehow that when we engage in discussions, as a consultant with companies and with leaders on the other side of the table, they somehow expect that digital transformation will solve all their problems with a magic wand or something. That is not the case. And as Rachid said, Majed and Jason also, that the processes, the people, they forget about these things. Without the change management, without the investing in the people, because those are either you need those people to get upgraded, or you need a fresh team who will actually manage the new digital transformed supply chain or processes and these things. You need to correct your process. You need to go with the best of class as well. Your current processes probably cannot work. You need to really, upgrade your SOPs, how you work and everything. So that is just my 2 cents on it. So
yeah, and if I may give just an example, Noman. So today, for example, if we look at supply chain planning, I'm pretty sure that Jason will have use cases related to warehousing and fleet and so on. But in supply chain planning, most of the organization today will be using Excel file. That's why each time we tell organization our biggest competition is actually Excel file. And in Excel file, what are you doing? You are messaging the data, basically. You are copy pasting, you are doing all the macros, you are trying to figure out what's my next forecast, how I'm gonna move the stock from one location to another location. Everything is manual. And you are actually struggling with all the errors in the Excel file. And imagine the day in a life, week of a life of a planner using an Excel file. Now imagine you run a digital transformation and you're going to bring in an AI-powered platform to automate most of all those processes. And you are asking the planner to focus on the added value tasks, which is like running the business, do what-if scenarios, do simulations, know what happens if I have a new supplier, what happens if I open a new warehouse, what happens if I go to a new market. So you are asked, the questions are totally different. For this planner, you are asking him a totally different questions because everything that he was doing before now is fully automated. Now he needs to you need to bring him up to the new, it's a paradigm shift. And if you don't help those users, those people in this journey, then you lose them and they may not be able to use the new tools that you have put in place. And this is what we have faced multiple times with multiple organizations.
Awesome. There's a comment regarding our discussion from my dear friend Melvis that budget is always accrued before the technology journey starts. Just a clarification. But the next point is very good. Some technology companies overcommit. Just a second, what happened? Oh, someone sent a very big question. Okay. Some technology companies overcommit and under-deliver. Is the scenario the company's deep dive in assessments? So, overcommitment and under-delivery. So again, my perspective is that the expectation management has to be done at the very start. You need to know what needs to be done. It has to be properly, and the assessment. One thing that a lot of organizations miss out is the right assessment of the solutions which are coming. Are they the right fit? Because every salesperson will, sell you the clouds and the stars and the moon and the suns. But as an entity, it is my responsibility to assess. Do they have the capability and do they match my requirements or not? So a very valid point, Melvin. So moving next with the next question.
Noman, if I may just,
yes,
sorry, if I may just
yes,
quickly add, Noman, you see the biggest challenge is not addressing the pain points. You see, just telling you yesterday, we had a live example we did a Teams meet with Nepal, all right? And he was so enthused about seeing the demo, seeing the PowerPoint that we have. We said, no, let's address the pain points. Let's say how much of timeline you have. When is this being pushed by the government? And you see, we spent a good 45 minutes to an hour just only discussing his requirements. Now we told him we'll come back to you in 1 week with a PowerPoint showing him what he needs in terms of the Atracio solution that we are actually offering him. He wants an asset management for a hospital. And furthermore, we told him we'll show you a live demo as well. It's a demo account, but we'll show you a demo nevertheless to let you understand our capabilities, you see. Because when we don't show these, when we show them these things first up, then it becomes, oh, it was already like just a simple PowerPoint. Now we understood his pain points. We know his timelines. We know how to get in with the government through him. So understanding is the most important thing in a digital transformation of any company. And as I said, again, it's the need of the hour.
Right. So with that, Jason, the next question, I'll put it up to you directly. But
Good.
that what are the key factors to consider? I think that is not the hold on. Yes, sorry, my mistake. So when choosing the right technology stack, what key factors should decision makers consider to ensure scalability and flexibility?
So very simply, I mean, it's first understanding the business goals. You need to understand the goals and the objectives of the company. You see, we're not talking about a change management here. We're talking about a company that needs to move from A to B. From your Excel, as Rachid kept talking, we're talking about, using AI, ERP, power-driven, AI-driven WMS. So when you're looking at all these things now, you're not talking just simply about cloud versus premises. You're talking about scalability. You're talking about integration capabilities. You see, we at Atracio, we deal with over 400 integrators, and we can integrate with most systems. You see, they've been tried and tested. I'm not talking about the hardware here. We're talking about software. So, we know where we are coming from with our solution, but we need to make sure that what the customer requires, we serve that. You see, you can't say you've got a knee problem and you're serving a back problem. Then it's not going to do you justice. They're just going to move and damage that knee in the long run. We need to identify the pain points, look for the best fit solution, and we present that solution. You see, so data management and security is key for these guys. And, we use one of the highest security keys for our solution. More importantly, we also make sure that, the user experience is fantastic. It's just not, we saw some suppliers just a few days back, and we saw their screens of their software solutions. I tell you, it took me back to almost 30 years back of, opening up your computer. When you open it up and, you rang to get your ringtone, to get your internet connection. It took me really back there because it was a good 30 years back. And they are using these systems in the UAE. So, there's some of these companies are using 3 similar systems. And we told them, you're getting it standard with us. So some of the key things when you choose the right technology is making sure that you've got the right people to talk to. Most of the time, it's a quick fix. Yesterday's operation managers are today's WMS managers, and they don't have the right skill set. So, when you don't have the right skill set, your integration, your capabilities only go haywire. So that's something that you need to consider. You see, I give you one quick example. I know it's a little related to WMS, but it's more related to fleet actually. We have a very good company in NG, and NG actually had a problem with their fuel. So all we did was we inserted sensors in their fuel tanks because they had problems. Some people were cheating with their fuel. And you will not believe, after 4 months of seeing their fuel, I could have shown you a live demo if you like. They realized that there was so much of fuel being saved through this simple small sensor that we inserted in the fuel tanks of their trucks. I think they had 400 trucks. In the first 4 months, we saved 400,000 euros for them. And this is actually one of the small things that we had done for a company that they were losing thousands and thousands of euros on fuel that was not going into the trucks. So, making sure you have the right technology is imperative. And it's a mandate for not only governments, but it's mandate for the private companies as well.
Perfect. If Rashid or Majid, if you want to add something, otherwise I will move forward to
Yeah.
Rashid with my next question.
Just
Yeah,
quickly,
please.
one more point is, when you are selecting a software or a solution, I think it's very important to select the vendor who's going to do this implementation for you. Is this
Yes.
software is like only is owned by one vendor? How is that? How is the reputation of this vendor that you're going to engage with? It's like a marriage, you know. If you select the wrong vendor, then it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Yes.
So this is the one important thing, that you need to consider while you are selecting your software or solution.
So to Majid, I will resonate with that. You might be buying the best ERP solution, the best fine, but most of these solutions they have implementation partners, and the failure is not because of the solution itself, it's because the implementation partner probably
Exactly.
did not understand your requirement and was not able to implement as per the needs of the organization. That is where the failure comes in.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So the ideal scenario should be that the implementer and the solution provider should be the same. So we
That's what
only
we are
have one
pitching. That's
vendor.
what we are pitching all the
In
time.
some way.
So
In some cases, you don't have an option.
Yes, unfortunately, so true. So Rashid, I will move to the next question, and that is something interesting that because you were talking about, I think I moved one question forward. Okay, hold on, I need a lot of questions forward. Oh, I was moving back. Hold on. Combine. Sorry, I was using my mouse. I did not realize I need to use the keyboard. Okay. Now this is a question that this is something that Rashid, in a lot of sessions we have talked about this. That for the strategy that we need to do or we recommend that to ensure a clean, reliable data that can support the journey. Because without proper data, a transformation cannot happen. The foundation of transformation is data. So Rashid, over to you.
yeah, indeed. So it's the fuel that will actually lead to any successful digital transformation, right? So, but let's probably define what is a clean and reliable data, because probably some people may not have a full 360 degree on that. So a good data is a data that is complete. So you have the object, you have all the attributes, you cover all the business with it. It's also standard. It's a data that is according to best practices and according to the good processes that you would like to put in place for your organization. It's also a data that is consistent and also accurate, and also it is time stamped. So it's not just about having because you may have like a good data, but it's not complete, because we are still missing, for example, let's say attributes of the suppliers. We don't have accurate lead times from the suppliers, but still we do have some information from the suppliers. So it should be complete, standard, consistent, accurate, and time-stamped. And the question is, what are the strategies to actually get there? So to get there, there are multiple steps, or at least 3 steps, if I would summarize them. So the first one is you need to have a PIM dictionary. So you need to have a list of attributes in order to have an efficient operations and efficient reporting. You need to have business rules to manage the product attributes. So that's the first one. Having a PIM dictionary is very important. And you know that there are a lot of, let's say, consultancy firms, a provider that helps with actually building this whole PIM dictionary. And honestly, I've seen it in multiple businesses that they don't actually have a PIM dictionary. So they don't know which product is sold in which store. They don't know which products in which DCs, which products from which supplier. And so this is very important. And the second one is having a workflow in order that is RACI based, where you basically have, okay, this data, who is the owner? So you pretty much, it's like a project that you need to run, where you need to have a data owner per table, per object, so that you know that who needs or who can actually update this data element. And then the last step is about the reporting. So you need to measure regularly the quality of the data. You need to correct the errors before publishing the data internally and externally. Usually this process, or this is by itself a project, and probably Majid will, I don't know if you have done a similar project in your organization, probably many years ago, but in multiple organizations, we have seen that they actually run this project first before going into a digital transformation project to get the data right so that they can be ready for a successful transformation.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Rashid. Yeah. As you said, this could be like a project by itself. Data cleansing is a project. And as you said that at the beginning, garbage in, garbage out. It means that if you don't do this exercise very well at the beginning, doing your data cleansing, it means that the end results will not be matching to your expectations. And this is, the key factor that measures your success of the project. If the end results are not correct, it means you have failed simply. Yes, you are right. It's a project by itself. Controlling the data cleansing. Even you have said a very important point about the owner of the data. I think we have all went through some audit exercises, and auditors, they really emphasize on some critical data. Who has access to change this data? Who has access to enter this data? This shows the importance of data into the organization itself. So if anybody can change the retail price of any article, it will be a total mess. The common will be losing, and without knowing they are losing because the margin was not calculated correctly. So yeah, it's very, very important factor. Maintaining a clean data and having a clear process for the ownership of the data.
So I would add that, you need to automate your data, right? Is that what you're trying to say, that you automate your data? Correct, no? But, there was a case in Saudi. I mean, I'm giving you some good examples because that will bring a lot of light to what we are talking actually now. We had a very good used case of a water distribution company in Riyadh, where you are, Mr. Majed. And they gave us a pain problem that they had 335 trucks with 2 delivery persons and 1 truck driver, and 12,000 distribution points from their DC to the addresses. The data that they gave us was so bad, some of the addresses were reaching up to New Zealand and Australia. Anyway, after speaking to them, after realizing that, data cleansing has to happen, as you were just talking about, we verified all the locations. And believe me, we ran it through our system. And in 2 weeks' time, you will not believe, we came back to the client, which is a multinational client, and we told them, now you can use 196 trucks to fulfill these 12,000 deliveries. And the first thing they told us was, oh, we're going to lose our jobs then. We said no, because you can use these people in Mecca or Jeddah, because each truck, you don't only have a driver and 2 helpers, you have their salaries for 12 months, you have their insurances, let alone the fuel and the truck, the maintenance, the insurance. There was a huge saving already, that we could already see light of. And they were like, initially when they came to us, they said we were looking at expanding and getting another 30 to 40 trucks additional to satisfy these 12,000 deliveries. We not only streamlined their distribution through the channel, but using the same data, we optimized each truck. You see, each truck was going at 60 to 70%. Now with our system, we have optimized it to 95 to 96%. Each truck, they have gallons of water. So we made sure that every truck was fulfilled in terms of their gallons. So, Atracio did all the long, hard yards using its AI-powered backbone and, making sure that this company now can, rest assured that, we've given them a seal-proof solution that they don't need to worry about. So coming back to the data, you need to implement a master data management, I would say, because to make sure you clear out all the trash and you quantify the data that you've got, you see. A further point would be to audit your data, but data cleansing is one thing that is mandatory, I think.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll move forward with the discussion. So my next question is for Majed. Again, we talk about digital transformation, and obviously it's a journey. And when we talk about journey, the interest of the stakeholders and the buy-in has to be kept intact. So my question for you would be that what quick wins or early success indicators can organization look for to build momentum during their transformation journey?
Yes, I think we discussed this point then somehow at the beginning. Having a clear objectives from the beginning is very, very crucial. Because you need to have some kind of baseline that you measure your success against. Without having a baseline, you don't know that you're doing well or you're doing bad. So setting these baselines at the beginning will be very important to measure your success or the objectives that you have set your project for. Uh, you know, Setting a clear KPIs for your objective. So I need to measure, for example, as Jason was mentioning this example, that you reduce the number of trucks that is required from 350 to around 160. So this is a KPI that you could put as for your project. I need to reduce my cost by reducing the number of trucks to X amount. So you need to have a measurable KPIs for your project to make sure that you are achieving the objectives that you have set at the beginning. Measuring the return of investment for this project financially. Imagine, again, getting to Jason's example, imagine how much I have saved by reducing the number of trucks from 300
trucks, exactly.
So this is another key factor that you will be looking for. So setting a baseline, defining a clear KPIs, measuring the return of investment. These are the factors that you should use to measure the success of your project.
Good. Anything if you would like to add to this, Jason or Rachid?
I would actually look at employee engagement, you see, because when there is no incentive or when there's no engagement with the employees, then, it just becomes a very mundane thing to do day in, day out. Yes, you're using your KPIs and you're trying, but, you're not pushing yourself. So, when you're aligning your departments from that degree, it has to come from the top and, gone all the way down to the people on the floor. So it has to be a complete thing that you're monitoring and measuring the success of these KPIs as well. It's not just said, okay, you do this and that's it. You see, we make sure also through the system that, even if you're looking at WMS or even fleet for that matter, there are so many ways to measure success. And there is so many ways to measure your reporting as well, to make sure employee behavior, whether they're idling a truck for longer than required, there's a notification that you can get. You see, a simple thing like that. You see, sometimes they've gone off track on their route, maybe for an extra cup of chai fall, and the truck is left idle over there, idle. Well, its ignition is on, but it's stuck there for 2 hours, you see. So it has to come from top and seam down, you see. So it has to completely, not just one person on the top and a few down. The entire office has to have this employee engagement and, aligning departments, not just individuals. Could be through incentives, could be, through different things. I think that is a better way forward. And that's where you'll actually get to measure success.
Perfect. Perfect. So building on the same thing, see, that's good. I'll move to the next question, and that talks about technology adoption. And you earlier gave examples of how with machine learning and AI, you were able to do that for that company in Riyadh. So my question for you, Jason, would be that from a technology adoption perspective, I'm sorry. How do AI, machine learning, automation play a role in enhancing supply chain efficiency during the transformation? That, we talk about it, but it would be good to know from the people who actually use AI in improving to learn about it as well now.
See, you have to look at the entire automation process, you see, and you look at it from a degree of, what kind of data accuracy you're achieving with the automation process. You have to look at that. At the same time, you have to look at the customer experience with better efficiency levels, because you cannot just, like Majed said, you need to look at cost reduction. At the same time, measure your KPIs. You can't just leave them on one hand and there is no tracking involved. There's no implementations being used. So, people will start doing it in the first month. And in the second month, it's 70%. And in the third month, it's 50%. And eventually you're looking at 1 year and you've, reached a level where your direction is, blind, you don't know where you're going. So, you need to have data accuracy to know in terms of staffing, in terms of assets, in terms of, fleet. If you're looking at where are you going, in which direction, what are your yardsticks, how can you achieve greater results? Are you reducing your costs while you're implementing these digital transformations, or are your costs increasing? Because if it's increasing, then the big man up there is saying, hey, put a stop on it. We need to come back. We need to reduce costs. The exercise is to reduce costs, not to reduce staff. And people need to understand that. When they understand that you're not reducing staff, but implementing good things and goals that are achievable and they can measure your success, then people will start looking at it from a different light. They'll start looking and saying, what? Yeah, this data that we are receiving is much better. We can do much more work. We can be more efficient. And when it's from the root level, then it goes up all the way up to management level.
So true. Yes, Rashid?
Yeah, I think agree with Jason. So today, if you look at supply chain, right? Supply chain end to end. So covering more planning, execution, OMS, everything. So from your customers to your suppliers, there are multiple areas where AI, machine learning can play a big role, and it will have a big impact on business when it comes to supply chain efficiency, right? So if you look at more the customer side, everything related to the forecasting, history cleansing, all of that can be fully automated. The documentation, the supplier disruptions, supplier performance, all that can be predicted using machine learning. Today, many organizations will be talking about, let's say, using OpenAI as well, generative AI in multiple use cases. How can you have a human interaction with the system instead of just going and clicking into different screens? If I would like to create a report, I would just chat with what some of the organization call co-pilot, and this co-pilot will be my assistant, my supply chain assistant, to actually help me as a planner, as a user, to be able to do my work more efficiently. So today, the question is whether AI, machine learning, has an impact on supply chain efficiency, because I think we already kind of crossed that bridge many years ago, because we have seen many use cases already in with different businesses that are yielding a lot of results. I think it's more. I think it's also what you refer here in this question is from a technology adoption perspective. Once you put those AI use cases and machine learning use cases in the organization, how can you make sure that people can actually adopt them? How can you make sure that they are using them in the right way? And I think we talked about change management. We talked about training. That's all important to bring in the people up to speed and make them use these tools in the right way. We are doing something within Slimstock that is quite nice, and I can share it here. So, for example, training. So when you put like in these new capabilities into the system, and some of them, many users will easily not trust the results, because when you talk about AI machine learning, most of the algorithm is black box, right? I mean, you put in the data, you get some output, but you don't really know if that's correct or not. But what we try to do is we try to have an explanation. So we develop this co-pilot and explain to the users what was the thinking behind it and how this is actually a correct decision that was taken by the system. So this is one of the way to help in that adoption and change management.
Perfect. So I will move to the last question for the discussion between us, and then we'll take the questions that the audience has shared so far. I was just yesterday. I will not even talk about just yesterday. I will go back 2 years back when the world was introduced with ChatGPT, and the world was in awe. What has happened? A smart assistant is there, and 2 years now today, I think everybody in majority is using ChatGPT in one form. You just mentioned Copilot. Copilot is the Microsoft version of ChatGPT. Then Google has its own and everything. I will just share a very small, interesting happening. My father is here from Pakistan, right? And he has a very old laptop. So he's not very tech savvy. He enjoys his old laptop. It's very slow and everything. But somehow there was an error in the outgoing email. Somehow the emails were not going as soon as he connected to my house internet. And now what to do? I have no clue from where can I get it fixed. No idea. Then it hit me. Let me ask ChatGPT. I just put in the question that this is the Outlook version that is being used. The laptop has been used in Pakistan, and this is what is happening. That outgoing is ChatGPT gave me 10 potential solutions to it, and on the fourth solution, the problem was fixed. And my dad is very happy with it. Now that I'm also a tech, I'm also an IT administrator, and that I'm able to fix laptop now, and his emails are going out now. So now with this, I will ask. It's a question for all three of you that something which was unthinkable a few years back is becoming very much thinkable. It's part of our lives, and technology is part of our lives. Things have moved on. From Excel sheets to AI solution and planning. Even when we talk about fleet management, we talk about WMS, DMS. Still, I know of organizations that are still working on Excel sheets to manage their warehouses to tens and 20s of warehouses right now. Fleet of 400 vehicles that still they are using Excel sheets. So looking forward, that what technology trends do you foresee will be reshaping the future of supply chain? And how should we as business owner or our audience should be ready to stay ahead of the curve? What is the advice that the three of you will give?
Yeah, if you allow me, maybe I can start. Just,
Please, fine.
With one example now. I think Internet of Things is, I know it's not a new terminology, Internet of Things. It has been there for many years. But every day there is like a new use case for Internet of Things. Imagine that you have a lot of things, a lot of devices around you connected to internet. Imagine the data that you can collect from these devices. I can just give you one example that we recently running as a POC in one of our stores. We have the cameras, normal security cameras. Now you can connect a device to these cameras to start counting how many people get into your store. Where is it will give you like a heat map. Those customers, when they walk in the store, in which area they usually go. And you can connect this information to your sales data. So it will tell you also the conversion rate for your offline stores. We are not talking about your e-commerce platform. We are talking about normal stores. So you can know, how many people work in your store and how many transactions or how many of these people they have purchased. So you understand the conversion rate for your offline store. So Internet of Things that it can do like a magic for you really if you start collecting the data from different devices around you. These days they are talking about smart homes. You can control almost everything in your home using the Internet of Things. So you can, you don't have to use, for example, a normal locks at your door. You can use a digital one.
Yeah.
And no need to carry a key. And imagine you are at work and your wife, she or your friend arrived at home and you want just to let him in. You can open the door while you are sitting
Anywhere in the
office.
world.
Yeah. So, this is one example. I'll leave it to Rachid and Jason to share some other examples that what could the future bring to us.
I will pick on what just Majed said with the key and everything. I don't know if you remember, there was this cartoon when we were young. It used to come on TV, very old cartoon, the Jetsons. If any one of you remember.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah.
And whatever was in the Jetson is happening right now. All that technology, the one that you just gave Majed the example of the
So
key
true.
and opening of the house, it was
Yeah.
happening in Jetsons. Only the flying cars, they are there. The drones and everything, they are almost there. But
Yes.
everything, teleportation is still missing. But most of what was shown in Jetsons is actually happening in the world right now.
As your question stated, right, looking ahead, but all we're going to see is an increase of AI, machine learning, automation. I mean, whilst we are sitting in the UAE and you guys in Saudi, we've got just about one warehouse that is automated in the UAE, and sadly they did it in 2009 when the Lehman Brothers decided to do what they did back then. It's a thing of the past now. But 15 years later, now they are enjoying the success of that automation back then, you see. So somebody in that company, well, the Jagtianis, of course, they thought 15, 20 years ahead. So our company is really looking that far ahead? I don't think so. But, when you're looking at AI in terms of demand planning, in terms of intelligent routing, in terms of customers, what the customer needs, I've got it for you from my phone and it's virtually mirrored onto the laptop, you see?
Yeah.
And I can do anything from my laptop, as Majid just said, Etisalat keeps sending that ad all the time, somebody ringing the bell and you're in Spain, but you open the door and said, yeah, drop it over here. Or the moment there's a thief come and, then you say a dog sound and the thief run away, you see. So I'm talking only about AI, but, when you look at machine learning, it can predict the maintenance. It can, show you your downtime. It can also show you the lifespan of your fleet. It can show you, things for your warehouse. And these are, things that we need today. Not only looking ahead, it's the need of the hour, as I keep harping, because these are things that we all need right now. How it's going to be achieved is, how good management, how good, people are embracing technology. These are the yardsticks that we need to live by, because yesterday is already at our doorstep, actually. I told you about the Bill Gates and the computer. I mean, that's amazing, I think, in my books, So we need to embrace this technology quicker, make sure that we're doing good trainings for our staff, and, their success can be measured as well, you see?
Perfect. Rachid,
Yeah,
your
100%. Yeah, Jason. I think it will be very hard to predict what will happen probably in 2 years' time now, because if you look at the technology, it's moving too fast. And even the use cases, each day you read about new use cases, and it just I think foreseeing what will happen after 2 years will be probably very hard. But I think I do agree with what Jason and Majid said. But in today, if you look specifically in supply chain, if you just read the reports of Gartner, for example, you will realize that they are pitching a lot what they call anti-fragile supply chains, right? And if you look today, a couple of years back, the supply chain were more optimized. We talked about a lot about supply chain optimization, talked about linear programming. So it was more cost driven. Everything that was done as initiative in supply chain was cost driven. But then COVID came, and we all know what happened in COVID. And then during COVID, in the middle of COVID, many organizations will be talking about a resilient supply chain. We need a resilient supply chain because they could not No, they didn't have any buffer in the old way of doing. There is no, because it was all lean, it was all very mathematic. They didn't have any buffer. So you saw what happened to many organizations. They struggled a lot, and supply chain become a big problem, a big bottleneck. And during that time, they talked about resiliency. So we need to have a resilient supply chain. And basically, when you hit the supply chain, when there is a disruption, when there's a problem, how can you absorb that problem? But now, if you look at what is coming up, and it's still being cooked, and a lot of gardeners talking about it. It's anti-fragile, and anti-fragile supply chain. It means that when you are hitting the supply chain, so you are hitting it, you can still absorb the hit, but you can get even stronger than before. And of course, you will need to have like a technology to do that. So I have a problem coming. It's a big problem. I didn't foresee it before. Now I'll take the problem. I can actually absorb the problem, but I will transform this problem into an opportunity to come stronger. This is more what, let's say, big analysts are talking about. And of course, usually the software providers will follow the trend and make sure that they have the right solution to actually do this.
Perfect. I think, thank you, all three of you. My questions are done, but we will now move to the amazing questions that our audience has left. So we will quickly move into the Q&A session, and I will pick some questions and I will, address to you. There's one gentleman, Abdulaziz, who has actually given a question for each of you. So the first question from Abdulaziz is for Jason, that what are the most critical technologies that companies should invest in to facilitate a successful digital transformation in supply chain management?
Sorry, I missed that last part.
What are the most critical technologies that companies should invest in to facilitate a successful digital transformation in supply chain management?
So, I mean, if you're looking at a standard warehouse solution, okay, I would say a WMS would be a no-brainer, because a WMS will give you all the key functionality and capabilities in terms of a WMS. But if you're looking at a fleet, then that's a completely different solution. So, what solution are you actually looking for? So when you address these pain points immediately, then you can, of course, look at it. Now, I can give you one example in terms of a bakery, Al Mouad Bakery, which is actually in France. And by the way, they keep bringing croissants to the office, actually. So they had a problem with the drivers taking temperature controlled cakes from point A to point B, and the door was being opened, you see. So we stuck sensors and the doors. Very simple solution to make sure that the temperature level was not coming down to damage the cakes, you see, because it was a long journey that they were using. So this simple solution made sure that, the door, whenever the door was opened, we were notified at the office. So depending on the solution that you require, if it's a warehouse and you want to automate, then of course WMS is a no-brainer. But if you've got a small fleet of 15, 20, even 100 trucks, or even less than that you want to improvise, using a fleet management is mandatory then for you, because you need to go thinking forward to the next level. Yeah. So these are the few things that I suggest for this gentleman that I think would be fair.
Okay. So next question is for Majed, that could you describe a recent successful digital transformation project in your organization and the key factors that contributed to its success?
Okay, in the current, let me take my previous assignment. I think one major key transformation project was for home delivery. That project, I am very proud of, because I took it from like scratch, from zero, from nowhere, to a very successful and project that generated a lot of revenue to the company. We started with receiving orders by phone, receiving orders on Excel sheet, receiving for home delivery, and there was completely no track of these orders, whether when is the time to deliver these orders, if these orders were delivered, and what we used to receive is just complaints from customers complaining about, we have placed an order when we never received this order. Even there is no track. What is that order? When it was placed? Through which channel it was placed? So we put a very architecture solution for this home delivery channel, and we brought all the technologies that is required to make it a successful project. From the time we collect the orders from different channels, we created a mobile application, for example, a website. We integrated our call center with the order management system. So we made sure that at the beginning we are having a good registry for the orders. We know exactly when the order was placed, by which customer, and then we were communicating back to the customers the expected delivery date for these projects. And we went one step more or advanced to track these orders and keep our customers informed about the progress. So the order has been prepared at the warehouse, the order is en route, the order will be expected to be delivered and even up to the hour that this order will be delivered. We have, deployed many technologies, as I said, starting from, mobility and order management system to tracking the orders on the route, by implementing a last mile delivery solution, to even tracking the location of the driver while he's going to deliver this order. So this is one of the projects that I can say that it was a digital transformation for the complete process of home delivery. When it comes to success factors, or how this project was, how we made sure that it has been a successful project. The first, specifically for this project, the first factor was, the management buy-in. The management, they care a lot about the image of the company. They don't want, in the social media, customers start spreading complaints. We have placed an order with X company and the order was not delivered. It's XYZ company, So that was the thing that worried the company, the management a lot about the image. So the management, they buy in this project and they were ready to invest, time and money to make sure that this project is a successful one. Another key factor is all the stakeholders, all the team working into this channel. They realize that with this mess, they cannot keep delivering their objective when it comes to sales objective, when it comes to customer satisfaction. So again, these stakeholders, they believe into the objectives or the what this project could bring to them. So that was another key factor. The third key factor is selecting, as I was saying, selecting the right technologies and the right vendors to implement this one. So in a very short period, we were able to transform these paper taken orders and Excel sheet orders into a fully digitalized system from end to end.
Okay. Perfect. The last question I'll put it to, thank you, Majed. The last question I'll put it to Rachid, and that is how important is to have a team ready for implementing digital transformation? And this includes the working team right from the ideation stage to the development phase of the transformation. So if you can share your thoughts on that.
I think we have been discussing the change management, the importance of the people of for any transformation since the beginning. So I can only stress that again. It's very important to actually have the right team, have the right skills within the organization. And probably when you have, let's say, planning to do a transformation, you need to assess where your team is today, because you're gonna do a transformation, the way they're gonna work, the skill set that they need will be totally different. So you need to assess where they are, where they stand, and you need to come up with a development plan to actually bring them to the level where you want them to be. So having the right team is important, but if you don't have the right team, it does not mean that you cannot do a digital transformation. So it means that you need to bring them to the next level. So what's the plan? What is the development plan? What's the training plan to actually bring them to the level where you want them in order to start this digital transformation? And sometimes even I know that it's very important to have this team before you have the transformation, but sometimes there are many tools that, for example, at Slimstock that we use there in the project to actually bring the people up to speed. So it may be that the planners may not have the right skills, but we actually train them there in the project, there in the while we are still building the solution to bring them up to speed. So that's also a possibility. But anyhow, you will need a plan. You need a plan to bring them with you. Otherwise, you're going to lose them, and this transformation will not be successful.
Perfect. I think it's now time for us to call it a day. Call it an evening, a night, or something. But but I am really appreciative for all three of you and everybody who joined us. From my side, a very good thank you to everyone. Rachid, to you, to Majed, to Jason, and to everyone that joined in. I hope it was a fruitful and very knowledge absorbing session for the audience that we had today. And this is the restart of the webinars that I used to do during COVID times and a little bit after post-COVID. And I have reinitiated the webinars with this one. It will be followed by another webinar by end of the month on logistics and 3PL and technology, followed by sustainable procurement practices, and more will be coming. And so thank you everyone for joining in. Big thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.